Hello there, this is History Boy, and I've had the inspiration to do another Ruminations video, and that is on. This is gonna be instead of doing multiple subjects, like I did with the Kingdom of Heaven thing and Ben 10 and um, all that kind of stuff, and the other one with Mortal Kombat and God of War and all those. Um, this one, I mean, with this is kind of inspired partly because of um, the new one coming out. Requiem, aka RE9 or Biohazard 9. Um, and I was thinking to start off with talk about some two overlooked games, part of a series actually. And actually, before I get into it, I didn't realize the original. I never played it. The original Code Veronica game that was also partly featured on as the one of the second revisited storyline in Dark Side Chronicles. I didn't realize until looking up image sources and all that jazz that that was a gun survivor game. So it's a trilogy actually. Yeah, you have Gun Survivor with the sicko doctor that tries to get a chemical from a specific fear chemical from teenagers' brains, and then you have my personal. I've never played these, but I kind of want to. Maybe I'll start a collection when I have the time and the money and the ability to further seek out niche things that a niche over here basically, like collector's editions stuff. Because I want to get back into Resident Evil. Last one I last one I played. I mean, I haven't even played Village or Shadows of Rose or Resident Evil 4 remake or 3 remake or 2. I mean, I've seen gameplay and stuff like that, but yeah, the Gun Survivor ones, in particular, Dead Aim. That was like the coolest one to me. It still is, and I think that deserves more love. And um, that out of the light gun games, and actually, I think out of, I mean, technically, yeah, Code Veronica's already been done through Dark Side Chronicles on what was it, GameCube or the Wii? Yeah, the Wii. Yeah, the original RE1 remake was GameCube. Uh, I don't think it was an exclusive. I'm not sure, but I think that deserves a remake. So yeah, first kind of putting it out there, kind of question I'm putting out there is, if like me you wanted to see RE Dead Aim remade, would you keep the aesthetic of the light gun stuff where you enter boss battles and you just you shoot, you stand there and shoot basically. I mean, they didn't always do it. I think they didn't do that all the time. Like if you were fighting Pluto, I think if you fought Pluto and all the times you fought Morpheus Duval, um, you could switch because for example, with Morpheus's first battle, you you ran away. You could choose to shoot him instead of delay him, but they didn't really do anything. But most of that was running, and I think the final bit where he's his mutation gets out of control, it's pretty much a light gun battle of, but you were kind of running at the same time from what I remember, from what I sort of remember from watching gameplay. stuff. So what the fuck do I know? um, but yeah, it had quite a. To me, it was quite interesting because it veered from like people from like as much as I like Leon way a lot more over Chris. Um, it's funny with Leon, he has like yeah with Leon's stuff, he has like the more quirky, interesting personality, but as far as for example the kind of things Chris ends up fighting and being a soldier and stuff later on and part of the Hound Wolf squad, which I'll address as well as part of this video. The situations Chris finds himself in seem to be more enthralling, you know, especially seen as as he reappeared as the Hound Wolf squadron leader in seven, in seven and village. Um, and the Hound Wolf squad had their little kind of DLC thing where you were fighting one of the Urias, you know, priests, Hammer brothers, basically. Um, and yeah, so yeah, kind of digressing a little bit. I'll get back onto the since I've mentioned it now. I'll get back onto the stuff with Chris Redfield and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, what would you like to see if there was a remake of Dead Aim? How would you go about uh, you know, what would you change? Would you keep certain aesthetics? I, for one, would take the light gun stuff out of it. That seems a bit like that's like a bygone thing anyway. I'm not sure people really caught on much in terms of sales um, and the whole survival horror thing. And the survival horror part of Dead Aim is really really well done with the going through the ship and the sewers and the mutated like the torpedo kids, the the T virus, TG virus mutated fish embryo baby things in sewers. Those were really well done. Where you had to like sneak around and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it for the RE Dead Aim stuff. Well, actually, how would you? Because yeah, no. How would you go about altering the script, for example? Because it's quite charming in its way, but still quite stilted in its way. Not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just like it wouldn't. It seemed very. It seemed very kind of. It seemed kind of retro now, seeing as it is a 20-year-old game, but the voice acting at the time and the translating and the translating from the Japanese stuff that was kind of a newer thing still. So like how Leon and Claire and Birkin um, and Chief Irons, they all, they all they had that kind of way of speaking in kind of kind of I'd say yeah stilted kind of way of speaking where it was like directly translated from the original Japanese script when it was biohazard as they call it over there. But then also yeah, Dark Side Chronicles. Yeah, they covered first bit of Dark Side Chronicles was the RE2 bit with Leon and Claire, and they brought back. I liked that they brought back Matthew Mercer from 4 to voice Leon, even though chronologically that was before that one, which was quite well done. I think. I mean, I like that voice. I mean, I like not Matthew Mercer. That's 6. There's a similar name. The guy in the original 4 is called. His last name is Mercier, but then you have Matthew Mercer who voiced him since from RE6 and then the animated movies. You know which I really like his voice too. There's not really a bad Leon voice apart from the kind of awkward, like I say, uh, kind of stilted acting. And I keep saying stilted. That's the only way I can describe it. Where yeah, it was directly translated, and it's what they kind of had to work with. But then the voice acting got better. With the building it back up from the ground kind of thing in Dark Side Chronicles, and then even more so in the RE2 remake. But yeah, with the whole dead aim thing, I imagine in my mind, I wouldn't exactly know what to concretely think about how I would set out the dialogue, but um, I think it'd have to be a bit less, for lack of a better word, goofy. You know, like Bruce McGivern, the main protagonist, has sort of his kind of cheeky, kind of Bond esque one liners that are they're kind of nerdy, but they work. But then there's a load of them, so I think they'd have to kind of turn that down a bit. For example, um, seeing Morpheus Duval would be interesting too, as well. I think it was more. In fact, I think in the game, to me, he was more interesting before he ended up a actual literal monster. Like he was, you know, yeah. I think he was actually the. To me, he was like he was the best acted voice in that game. To me, I mean, I really liked him as a villain. So I mean, if a Dead Aim remake ever did happen, I just immediately like to love to see the details of who they would cast as Duvall. Maybe cast me, Capcom. I don't show off, but I'm sort of good at voices and stuff like that. Maybe you know what? Maybe just you know, cast me as Bruce. Um, I'll try not to roll my eyes so much. Um, I think Bruce has a bit of a drawl. Slightly exaggerated because it was originally voiced by a Hindu Canadian, basically doing like a, I don't know where he's supposed to be from. Let's say Florida ish, kind of. Maybe he's from Texas, who knows? But he does a bit of a drawl. I realise that Canadians have a drawl, but sometimes, but yeah, I think he's supposed to be more American. Like, you know, he sounds like a gunslinger, basically. Gun slinger, not gunk. If anybody kind of heard that during the recording, I have a bit of a cold. Um, yeah, moving on to Chris, or the further work of Chris Redfield. Kind of relates to the Shadows of Rose thing, which I was never asked with. But I liked that they actually did a time jump where she's like 21 or something. Um, I think Chris is supposed to be mentioned to be still active. So yeah, that'd be a good idea for a game too. Either Chris like a Shadows of Rose acknowledged, nodded kind of Chris Redfield game where he's he's getting to be a kind of an old soldier. Because I worked it out once, I think he would be like 67 at that point. Yeah, how old's he supposed to be? I I think on the wiki it said his birth date was around 1973, and Village is supposed to be. When is it supposed to be? 2020? Or is it 2025? So he's anywhere from. He's not old, but he's like at the oldest. He's like. I mean, I suppose like in Namco's case, I suppose if they can have Volder from Soul Calibur be 67 years old in the early 17th century and do his twists and quarter, and contortionist stuff. I mean, I know he's Italian and they have typically long lives and dietary stuff, and it's like it's a weird mixture of healthy and blah blah blah. But if they can, if them, oh for Christ's sake, oh excuse me, maybe I'm getting a virus. It'd be nice if I got some kind of the virus that Albert Wesker got. You know, I'd have the cool eyes at least, and I've already, got the kind of glasses anyway. And I like to do a good finger tenting pose. You know, where he's sat in his lab chair, scheming. But yeah, where was I going there? Where was I going? Back to it. Yeah, Chris. I reckon, if they can do that, if Namco can do that, where Volder's still very much active, even though he's like, it'd be like the equivalent of a like 110-year-old man during his time generally, then they can have Chris, who will be, to quote TV tropes, dented iron, I guess, but he'd probably still be able to take care of business and lead the squad, or be like a, you know, or like do like a semi de facto leader thing if someone else steps up. Um, so yeah, that's for yeah, related to the Shadows of Rose thing and Chris and Village and all that kind of stuff. Um, would you like to see? I'm kind of in two minds myself. Would you like to see a kind of a Hound Wolf Squad prequel game where, or slash Neo? I think it was part of Neo Umbrella. Yeah, it was part of Neo Umbrella. Like that, it's like they set up their own thing as like an anti-Umbrella thing, even though Umbrella was finished with when Wesker croaked it in 5, and then his sister Alex um, kind of set up her own thing in Revelations 2, which aka is aka the latest Resident Evil game I've actually played. Um, so yeah, would you like to see? And I'd appreciate comments as well, because this is sort of a discussion thing. No, and this is a discussion. This is a potential open, you know, debate, kind of almost debate kind of thing, where would you rather see in regards to Chris and the is basically later adventures and later jobs, would you like to see a sort of intermediate prequel thing where he's setting up or slash joining the Hound Wolf Squad, or would you like to see him during the um basically doing his thing while Shadows of Rose is going on, where he's like potentially gruff looking and older, but not probably not too much. He'd be like, he'd probably have more of a grit, like more of a beard. He'd have like more of a Keanu type beard to me, but whiter. He's whiter and uh, whiter hair in places, I guess. So yeah, for Chris to leave off with it, end this episode. Um, further adventures of Chris Redfield, or further expeditions of Chris Redfield, either either um, him set him joining the Hound Wolf squad for the first time after Wesker, bit it basically, out, and or um, him still operating when Shadows of Rose and is going on. So yeah, this was just a kind of a this was like a these are all like, you know, maybe I should call them playlist mullings, more like, as in mulling it over. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So remember to like, subscribe, comment. Especially comment. That's kind of the point of these. But just do it if you feel like it. If anyone, you know, I do get comments and stuff. Anyway, but you know, anyway, I always encourage comments. So this is History Boy signing off.